Grace and peace, y'all, and welcome to The Wise Perspective. I am your host, Wise, and I am glad that you are here today. And I want to thank you, of course, not for me, not for being here for me, for being here for you. Because if you are visiting my channel and listening to my podcast, you are on the path to enlightenment. You're looking for growth. You're looking for yourself. And that is a beautiful thing because it's something no one can give you. You have to go get it. You got to seek that kind of growth. So I thank you for wanting to be more than what you were yesterday. All right, so let's get into this message, y'all. All right, so I was channeling into the energy of feminine and masculine duality. Now, when I first heard it, I thought it was going to be balancing out the feminine and masculine aspects of self. But then it started to take a turn as I was channeling deeper, where it was talking about how the feminine and the masculine separately play into each other when it comes to relationship aspects, when it comes to the growth aspects with each other. Now, this video might have to be a part 2 because I started already going down the path of the feminine, her role in the life of the masculine. And I didn't even get to the masculine, so I may have to do a part 2 confirmation. I guess God said yeah. Do a part 2 where I go into where the masculine falls when it comes to the feminine. So as far as the feminine, and I'm going to begin before I even jump into this, I'm going to go in by saying I am very much single, happily and on purpose. I choose to be single, so it's not like I can't find a relationship. I don't want to find one. I want the one that's supposed to be here. That position will remain open until the right one comes in and fills it for me. I have dated, I have been married, I was married for numerous years, but not to the right one. And when I talk about marriage and relationships, before I stepped into who I am now, what I call my past life, I think my mindset is what allowed me to even get into those relationships. When it came to how I behaved with a masculine, it was based on what I was taught a feminine was supposed to be to a masculine. Now that's where we're going to start, because very young, us as feminines are taught we are supposed to play a particular role in the life of a masculine. You are supposed to be gentle and sweet and very subservient, and there's a lot of allowance that is supposed to come out of the feminine as far as we are taught. You are taught that men have way more ability to be free than the feminine does. And just that thought alone would naturally have the feminine put herself behind the masculine. That right there, those teachings were done on purpose, strategically. And this is where my channeling began, because it went into the past aspects of why the feminine was placed as a subservient class to the masculine. Now, if you want to take it and make it biblical, which of course I always want to make it biblical, if you look at the relationship Jesus had with Mary Magdalene, he considered her an equal to him. So even amongst his 12 disciples, Mary had a very important role to him. She was considered to him his life partner. Of course, they didn't have marriage papers back then, but they didn't need that. They committed, and that was what it is. When Jesus was crucified, he passed his mantle to Mary. And when it was brought to the 12 disciples that she was supposed to carry the mantle, even these men who walked with Jesus, who were groomed under the Savior, had an issue with allowing a feminine to lead, to the point that they wouldn't even allow her to the point that when she was persecuted and fled, they did not really protect her. They allowed it to kind of happen because, for as far as they were concerned, women were not considered equal to men. And that right there says a lot, because if these men, again, groomed under Jesus, they watched how he operated. He didn't operate that way, where it was, nah, women, nah, down with the women, with the men. If he didn't operate that way, how were they following him perfectly to the T if they thought that way? Now, of course, not all 12 disciples thought that way. We do have it recorded where I believe it was Thomas. I'm not sure which one. I gotta go back and read my Bible and make sure I got the names right. But one of the disciples did challenge what was said instead of Jesus. Said, she is the one to lead. Who are you to say she is not? So not everyone believed that. Now, when we go into the understanding of the role of a woman, masculine energy has always challenged the feminine, and it's because the feminine possesses a very unique power. Her power is not in the force. Her power is in the softness. That's a power that can't fully be defeated externally. Her softness, her gentle nature, her kindness is what cultivates her power. Now, if you think about that in terms of a masculine who was very action-oriented, was very physical-oriented, and you were to compare the two, a masculine cannot defeat that softness because he would have to fight it where he's used to fighting physically with a different type of softness. This is where the issue really came up when it came to masculine and feminine energies. Masculines felt weak when it came to feminine energies. Now, you see these words, you guys. We're going to use these words: weakness, softness. Weakness in this case was not a negative thing. It was vulnerability. When a masculine came in contact with a feminine that he was intrigued by, it triggered vulnerability in him, which he now perceived as a weakness. She's winning and I am losing because she makes me feel weak. But really, in that vulnerability was the understanding of the power of the feminine. A feminine that makes a masculine feel vulnerable is a feminine that's worth that masculine putting in his energy to cultivate the beauty she deserves. Ooh, go Holy Spirit, get it. Now, over time, masculine energy started to understand that this is how it was, and they needed to find a way to kind of snatch that power back. They did this by purposefully placing feminine energies in the lowest of the low categories they could. If you even look at like slavery, they placed women even under their own race when it came to it. They allowed all men to vote, and they wouldn't allow women because still women were way too strong in this energy. We've seen this all across history. The Salem witch hunts were a product of strong feminine energies who were okay with preserving who they were and being so strong in that aspect of themselves that it intimidated the masculine energies. That when a woman who was self-assured came in contact with a man and he was self-assured and then now he's questioning himself, you must be a witch. Now, of course, that wasn't the case. But there were many, many feminines who died because they were perceived as witches because they were too alluring. That allure of a feminine is the superpower. Now, if you look at how we are nowadays, not every feminine has that allure. They just don't, because it comes from cultivating a sense of self that is unshakable. A woman who has a essence that has been cultivated, and you cultivate your essence through having strong moral principles and values, through walking in your own autonomy, your own authenticity, being genuine, nurturing your own softness, recognizing who you are in the world, going after only what's yours and not worrying about anyone else's desires, allowing them to focus on their own desires while you cultivate the beauty within yourself so it shows on the outside of you. This is how you cultivate the essence of a feminine and how you do it for yourself. So when you are with a masculine who doesn't pour into you emotionally, because we are very emotional, we need emotionality to come to us properly. Without it, it's almost as if you're pouring into a cup that has holes in it. That is reciprocation in a way for a feminine. So when she's not being poured into emotionally, where she's with a masculine who is forcing her to be lacking in that area, she doesn't know where to turn to get that feeling. It actually drains her quicker because she's giving. It's one thing to pour out for yourself and not be able to pour back in. It's another thing to pour out to others because they're taking and you still can't pour back into yourself. These are some of the things, the tactics that have kept the feminine from moving into who she's supposed to be. When a feminine is a mother, a caretaker, a wife, and she no longer has her identity, she's no longer herself, she becomes just the titles. It is her reclaiming her name that allows her to step back into that autonomy, to step back into her power. And believe it or not, as much as I can state that has been done in the past to cultivate keeping the feminine from knowing this about herself from the masculine is the one who actually loves this most about the feminine. The issue is those who are intimidated by this factor have corrupted it. So nowadays, masculines who actually would love to experience this, love to sample this about a woman, they don't even know what it looks like because it's been so shoved down that when they come across a woman who is autonomous, who is genuine, they're confused. They almost don't even know how to handle her because they've never seen it. It's been so far removed from our history. When a woman steps into her strength too deeply, they believe it has to be masculine qualities, but no. Standing in your power just feels powerful. She doesn't have to do anything to be powerful besides stand in her power and recognize it when she does. Now, when we talk about how far removed it is from the way the world projects a feminine should be, it's not only the masculines who don't know what it looks like to see a woman who stands in her autonomy. It is also the feminines. Other feminine who were not allowed to operate from this place, who has never seen a woman who can stand in her soft power, feel very confused when they come up against a feminine who does. They don't quite understand what is it that they're seeing when they watch her move, her flow through life, her perform. And honestly, being that we are groomed to consistently look at ourselves and never feel like you are whole the way that you are, groomed to believe that life is supposed to be a continuous competition from childhood all the way through, because this is what we are taught inadvertently, accidentally, by our other feminine counterparts, but just by people who are around us. That's how they teach us we are supposed to be a feminine. You are supposed to look outside of you and compare yourself to each and every feminine you come in contact with. You are to find someone you look up to, and if you look up to them, try to be like them. Or if you look up to them and it makes you feel insecure, try to be better than them. Instead of recognizing that you're supposed to look at you. You don't need to challenge anybody. You need to be better than you. That's the path to a feminine's enlightenment. Not to compare to another woman. When you see a woman and you believe, oh wow, I like how that is, I like how she operates, it's not a challenge to you. If anything, it's to show you areas where you may want to be something more. If it challenges you to be better for you, not to compete with her. Feminine energies have gotten far from sisterhood. And I'm sure this is going to be another video too, because sisterhood has been corrupted amongst feminine energies. We're supposed to band together. It was never supposed to be fighting over a masculine energy. It's supposed to be fighting to take care of each other. The idea of a harem has been corrupted. It wasn't a man who had 4 different wives and he was sleeping with 4. No, it was a man who had 1 wife, and she had 3 sisters she considered sister wives, and they raised the household together. He only wanted to be with his 1 wife. He didn't need to sleep with anybody else. But everyone was taken care of, because as he poured into all of these women, by making sure he poured into his primary, the household was plentiful. You see? Now, he received the benefits of a household that was overflowing with productivity because he poured the nurture into the household. It had absolutely nothing to do with sex, y'all, but okay. I'm going to get back on track. When it comes to the feminine, our role is important in a masculine's life. Believe it or not, a masculine is supposed to feel vulnerable when he comes up against a feminine who is worthy of his time, worthy of his energy. He is supposed to feel so vulnerable, because as she makes that man feel weak, she actually makes him feel the strongest. A woman who can have a man feel that way and yet build him up to recognize that, yeah, you feel that way for me, but it's because I'll make sure that I take care of you in ways that no one else can. That's power. That is so powerful, especially in union. So a man should actually be striving for that, having a feminine who makes him feel as if he is powerful when he is outside of the home. But inside of the home, he gets to allow himself to be in his softness, tapping into his own feminine energy. This is what our generations are lacking right now. Masculine energies are operating in their masculine, and they never operate in their feminine. And if they do, it makes them feel so vulnerable that they pretty much want to beat it out of themselves. And feminine energies don't recognize even seeing a masculine operate in their feminine. So when they do, they make that masculine feel terrible for operating that way. You can't want the softness of a man and not allow him to be soft. Just like you can't want a feminine to be soft and you force her to have to operate out of masculinity. This is part of the duality that has to happen, at least from the aspect of the feminine. She needs certain things to be working properly in order for her to know she is safe, she is comfortable, she is worthy, all of these things. She needs certain aspects to be completely on point. she needs to know that she is safe with her masculine, meaning I'm emotionally safe, I'm mentally safe, I'm physically safe. Emotionally safe does mean that she is the hierarchy when it comes to his life, but also means that position cannot be challenged. If she has to worry about her position, she does not feel safe. So yes, if you are cheating, you're seeing other women, this is the reason why your household starts to decline. No feminine, doesn't matter what she comes from, wants her position challenged. So if you don't feel that position deserves her to be with that one person, don't give it to her. Give it to the one that you know you're with. Just like I said in the beginning, when my king walks in my life, his position is his position. It will not be for anyone else. Now, she also needs to be poured into. So she needs to see that softness in her masculine. She needs to see it, knowing that nobody else gets to. That for her is intimacy. Being able to hold the softness of her masculine and hold it as sacred. Because that also is the other thing too. Yes, he needs to be able to be soft with her. He needs to feel safe in that aspect. This is where the protection comes in. She wants to feel safe emotionally, and so does he. He wants to know that he's not going to get his softness thrown back in his face. He wants to know that you're not going to run off and tell somebody else about how soft he gets with you. It's sacred. So creating that sacred safety amongst the two is important to allow it to bloom into what it's supposed to be. So until we actually start recognizing what our individual roles are. So today we talked about the feminine role. We kind of are always going to be in this weird handicap of trying to figure things out. Balance needs to be had, and it's going to come from you personally stepping into your own autonomy, whether you're masculine or feminine. You need to become who you're supposed to become. And in doing that, you find the person that is supposed to walk into your life. It's not a hunt. It's not a, hold on to it. None of those things. When you have to confine somebody to a role in your life and they don't want to be there, that's called prison. When you have to go out and get someone to fill the role, that's called hunting. None of those things are in courtship. Courtship is supposed to be universal. It is a union. Two people are in agreement that this is where I want to be. The moment that one person does not want to be there anymore, the other should love them enough to say, you know what? You need to find what's for you. And even help if you can. Doesn't have to be a fight, but it does have to be a freedom. Because that's what we are all here to do. To completely define our story of liberation in every aspect. Alright, so I'm going to leave this one right here and then probably record the part 2 for the masculine energy within duality. But yes, thank you for being present. If you are a feminine, definitely drop in the comments like how you feel your role as a feminine is to cultivate the masculine. And I'm talking big things. I'm not talking, well, I cook and I clean. No, they mean way more than that. You could be a woman who doesn't know how to do any of those things. Let's say you had a maid, a housemate that takes care of those things, and you don't need to. How else would you now make your role relevant in that masculine's life if all those things were taken care of already? That's when you really get down to the actual meat and potatoes when it comes to a relationship. Alright, if you are looking for a coaching call, go ahead and click on this QR code I have right here. We're discussing any of these topics. Or you can just click on this Calendly link and schedule with me. Either will work. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a topic. We can literally just have a conversation on your path to enlightenment. Anything that comes up for you. And we'll just leave it as that, alright? Thank you for being here again. Not for me. You're not here for me. You're here for you. Because we are here to grow together. Alright? So I will talk to you in the next one. Love and light, y'all. And peace.